FPL Game Week 10 wildcard. Today we'll be going through my favourite FPL Game Week 10 wildcard, as well as the updated verified power ranking. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure you smash that like button and hit that subscribe. And let's get into it. What's up? It's FPL Vert, where arrows go green, but not for the last 3 weeks because we had another red arrow, which we'll talk about in the team selection video. But today we'll be going through the updated verified power ranking, so that's the top 5 for the next 5, and we'll start with the goalkeepers. And Pickford retains his place as number 1 once again, and that's more because of the fixtures that's coming up in terms of, compared to Sells. Of course, Everton are tightening up at the back. They only conceded 1 at home to Fulham, but yeah, you expect a few clean sheets in the next 5, especially with the upcoming fixtures against Southampton and 2 home fixtures against Brentford and Wolves. Sales comes in at number 2 as well, mainly more of a value pick, but as you can see from the XGC conceded per 90, Nottingham Forest are comfortably a top 4 defence in terms of the league, in terms of goalkeepers. But of course, the other top 3 were far more expensive. So we're going to go with Sales at number 2, and probably the pick for the wildcard, which we'll see later. Fabianski comes in because he is a playing 4 million goalkeeper, which means it's the end of my slicker joke in my own wildcard team, because I think when you have a 4 million playing option, you just have to have him just in case. You never know what's going to happen. Henderson comes in because of his hero 8-pointer at home. In fact, I think there's a point, because Henderson's 3 highest scores now have come at home to Manchester United, Chelsea, and away to Chelsea. So in terms of rotating goalkeepers, I don't think it ever works. I think you're just very best just getting off a 4.5, just hoping for the best every week, really. The Leonard comes in at number 5 because there isn't really anyone else, and I don't think anyone would really be purchasing him at 5 million, especially when Robinson is cheaper. Into the defenders, and Rayan Aït-Nouri comes in at number 1 for the first time because he's just an excellent pick at defence. He's not even really a defender. His goal over the weekend, he was in the box and he latched onto a loose ball. So definitely someone that should be number 1 if you're buying a new defender. And as you can see, Wolves are finally going to benefit from a fixture swing. Obviously the opening 9, arguably one of the worst fixtures you can ask for, and the next 5 are arguably 5 of the best you can ask for. His XGI isn't that high, but of course it's more about his positioning and what he can do. He's already got 3 goals as a defender. Definitely the one you should be picking. Gvardiol comes in at number 2, just because he should be probably the best premium we can get at the moment. Michael Keane. A word of caution on Michael Keane, he's great value, but Branthwaite will make his way into the team at some point, so we don't know if it's going to be Tarkowski or Keane that will drop. So one to measure, but as a value pick, you can't really go wrong. Lewis would actually be my pick for City. He doesn't shoot the ball like Gvardiol does, but of course it's more about value. And then Robinson comes in because he's just excellent value, and the fixtures that are coming up are just pretty much incredible. And here's the big talking point, it's the midfielders and how many can we fit in. So as you can see, we've got all the premiums in this ranking. Salah will be number 1 just because he's the best captain this week in my opinion. He's home to Brighton, and of course, they're not exactly the tightest defensively. In fact, they, were cruising to a victory and then they conceded 2 goals in like 5 minutes at home to Wolves. So Salah will come in. He's been very consistent, as you can see from his points per match as well as his XGI per 90. Then Palmer, I think he's the long-term pick. He's more of a long-term hold. I don't think we can really hold on to Salah for that long. But Palmer is someone that we should. I mean, at 1.7 million less, he's putting up pretty much the same numbers, despite the fixture coming up. Of course, Man United away might be a bit different with a new manager bounce. That remains to be seen. Saka comes in at number 3 just because of the fixtures that are coming up. Obviously, going away to Newcastle is not easy. In fact, Newcastle have only conceded 3 goals at home all season. Only Liverpool have a better home record than that. Then, of course, it's away to Chelsea in a pretty feisty London derby, as we can say. And then the next 3 are decent. You can expect attacking returns. And Boomer is just brilliant value all round. It's probably the best mid-priced mid you can go for. Despite, no one's ever salty if you're not owning. I did recommend Mbumo last week as well in my own wildcard draft. But, he did score. He had 2 shots in the box, one of which was a block, the other was a penalty. And then he had a shot from outside the box, as a shot, it was a cross that turned into the net. But, you know, he still puts up good numbers and, you know, decent fixtures coming up, especially Leicester at home in gameweek 13. Then Bowen comes in because he is silently doing pretty well as a midfielder. Only these midfielders, as you can see in here, have got more points than him, in addition to Noni Madueke, Luis Diaz and McNeil. And of course, you know, as the fixtures are going to tighten up and we're going to have a Christmas period, we're going to need 90-minute men, and that's exactly what Bowen is. And into the forwards. So Chris Wood retains his place once again as my number one. I've been recommending him as the number one forward for as long as I've been doing the power ranking, because he is that guy and people need to really wake up to it. And I think, you know, when you're home to West Ham, yes, they just won a game. Congratulations on winning El Sakiko to Julian Lopetegui, as we've now seen Eric Ten Hag depart from United following the result of that game. It was a very questionable penalty. Let's have it right, United did get robbed. But I think, you know, when you're hosting West Ham in the form that Nottingham Forest are, as I mentioned already, Nottingham Forest have got a top 4 defence in terms of underlying statistics, and they've got a very well set up team in terms of, you know, Nuno has got, you know, he's got very solid back 4. You know, you've got Maria and Linkovic, very capable defenders. You've got hard-working midfield with Anderson, and then of course you've got tricky wingers, and they're all servicing Chris Wood, so he should be the number 1 at the top of the list. Then coming at number 2, only because of a value thing, he's slightly cheaper than Cunha, but Raul Jimenez just keeps putting up incredible underlying statistics. Of course, he blanked away to Everton, but he's hosting Brentford side that have not kept a single clean sheet this season. And as you can see from the fixtures, they're very good. Cunha, though, was probably my number 1. If you don't already own Wood, probably the next, 6 million strike you should get, because he's the type of striker that if he gets a return, he gets bonus, because he not only creates chances, he takes a lot of chances, and the way he shoots, it's usually on target. So as you can see, 1 goal for him is extra 3 bonus. So every goal he scores is like a 7-point swing for him. And he's got the best fixtures coming up, including home to Southampton, which I probably would, it's waking me up a bit actually, and he probably needs to own it myself. Haaland stays at number 4. He's not on the naughty steps so much because he did score, but he did also flatter to deceive. And there's a lot of talk about selling him, but as you can see, he's expected to return a goal involvement every single match. He's 1.01 XGI per 90. He put up 2.33 XG against Southampton. For reference, his 2 hat-tricks this season, he accumulated less than that. He accumulated 1.79 XG against Ipswich, and he accumulated 1.71 XG against West Ham. So, yes, he's not scoring as many as we're expecting him to. However, going against him, very, very, I would not recommend it. If he's still scoring when he's not playing that well, what happens when he gets back into form? That's just my personal view. And then Nicholas Jackson's number 5. Yeah, again, he's a great option, probably one for later. But as you can see from his underlying statistics and his points per match, he's very consistent. So if I was making a fresh wildcard from game week 10, this is exactly how it would look. We would have Sales in goal because, as I mentioned, it's the value, and with the rotating goalkeepers doesn't really ever work. But we do have Fabianski as the sub because he's a playing 4 million goalkeeper, and that's the cheapest goalkeeper you can own, so you might as well. Then we've got Robinson, Aït-Nouri and Keane, just because they represent great value and have good fixtures this week, long term as well. Lewis and Okoli on the bench. We've got Smith Rowe because up until last week he's only blanked once in home matches, and I think Brentford is a great fixture for him. Salah will be wearing the captain's armband for sure, and Mbeumo's going away to Fulham, which I think he's only had 1 return away from home. He has had 1 return from home. He hasn't blanked at home yet, but he's not that great away from home. And Fulham have actually got a pretty decent team at the moment. Palmer, as I mentioned, he's a long-term pick. Chris Wood, he's just red hot on fire. Cunha, we have to own him for this week for sure. And then Haaland would be the vice. As I mentioned, you're not going to go against someone that is expected to return a goal involvement every single match. And that's how the wildcard draft will look. So, yeah. Put in your comments, what do you think you would go for, what changes you would make to the team, but this is how my team would look, and I'll see you next for the team selection. Thanks. So please like, share, subscribe, and peace.